today we're going to be looking at shapes, and they're shapes that are similar to each other. Just one is smaller or bigger than another one. Um, so we're going to say that they are smaller to a certain scale or bigger to a certain scale. So our focus this whole week will be scales. So shapes are called similar if they are proportionally smaller or bigger than the original shape, which means that all the sides are smaller by the same amount or bigger by the same amount. Since it says proportionally, we're going to be setting up proportions, so we're going to be going over how to solve proportions today. And they want us to figure out what is the length of the missing side. So if I look at number 1, what you're going to do is start by picking any number that you see. So I'm just going to start with 10. So 10. I'm going to put it over whatever side it corresponds to over here. So 10 was the left side of this triangle, and X is the left side of this triangle. So 10 and X correspond because they are the same side of the shape. And then I'm going to go back to the original triangle. So the only other number that I have left from this original triangle is 14. So I'm going to put 14. And 14 is the right side, so it corresponds to 28. So you should see your numerators should come from the same triangle, which they do. 10 and 14 both come from the left triangle, and X and 28 both come from the right triangle. That should happen every time. To solve this, we're going to do what's called cross, multiply, and divide. So cross, multiply, and divide. What you will be doing is you're going to multiply what numbers are across from each other. So 10 and 28. So 10 times 28. And then you divide by the other number. So divide by 14. 10 times 28 is 280. Divide that by 14. 280 divided by 14 is 20. So X equals 20. You also could have noticed 14 times 2 gives you 28, so 10 times 2 will give you 20. So sometimes that'll work out pretty nicely where the numbers go into each other evenly. Sometimes it won't be as easy to figure out. Number 2, start by picking any side, so I'm just going to pick 15. 15 is this left side, so it's going to correspond to 3. Then go back to the original figure, so that was 25. 25 corresponds to X. So once you have the proportion set up, you're going to cross, multiply, and divide. So multiply what's across from each other, 3 times 25. And then divide by your other number, so 15. 3 times 25 is 75. Divided by 15 is 5. And again, this one worked out pretty nicely because 15 divided by 5 is going to give me 3. So, oops, that's supposed to be narrow. So 25 divided by 5 is going to give me 5. So we're always multiplying or dividing by the same amount. Okay, moving down. For number 3, we have some rectangles. So you, again, start by picking any side. I'm going to start by picking 8. 8 was the bottom of the rectangle, so when I go over here, 14 is the bottom of that rectangle. And then go back to the original rectangle, so 6 over A. So again, 8 and 6 both came from the first rectangle, 14 and A both came from the second one. So we have it set up correctly. Okay, so now I can cross multiply and divide. 14 times 6 divided by 8. 14 times 6 is going to give me 84, and divide that by 8 to get 10.5. So that one didn't work out as nicely because I don't know 8 times what would give you 14, and that's why we got a decimal. It didn't work out very nicely, but you can use a calculator if you want. Okay, next number 4. Number 4 looks kind of strange. It's 2 triangles in 1. So I think it's easier to redraw your triangles. So I'm going to redraw my small triangle. And I know the height of my small triangle is 1.2. The base, so the bottom of my smaller triangle, this whole thing is 20, but this part's 11. So 20 minus 11 is 9. So I know this is 9. And then I'm going to draw my bigger triangle. I don't know the height, but I know that the whole base is 20. So now I can just start by picking my numbers. I'm going to start with 9, but again, you can choose whatever number you want. 9 corresponds to 20 because they're both the bottom of the triangle. And then I go back to the first triangle to get 1.2 over h. Cross multiply, so 20 times 1.2 divided by 9. 20 times 1.2 is going to give me 24. 24 divided by 9 is 2 2/3 because 9 goes into 24 twice with a remainder of 2 over 3. The last two on this page is going to take a little bit more effort because not only do we need to find the missing side, but we need to find the area. It says the area of the right rectangle, so I need to find the area of this rectangle. So first I need to figure out what x is because the formula for area of a rectangle is area equals base times height. So start by picking any number on your picture. So I'm going to pick 2. 2 corresponds to 3. Go back to your original picture to get 4 over x. Then cross multiply. 3 times 4 divided by 2. 3 times 4 is 12. Divided by 2 is 6. So x equals 6. And that one wasn't as hard to figure out because 2 times 2 gives me 4, so 3 times 2 gives me 6. We're always multiplying or dividing by the same number. So I'm going to plug in my numbers to my formula for the area. The base of this right rectangle was 6, the height was 3, and 6 times 3 is 18, so the area is 18. Okay, number 6, doing the same thing, except this time we're finding the area of the left rectangle. So I'm still using base times height, but again, I don't know the base of the left rectangle. You could see 3 times 2 gives me 6, so I need to think what times 2 gives me 8. So I know it's going to be 4, but again, I'm going to show you how to set it up. Start with any number, so start with 3. 3 corresponds to 6. Equals x over 8. Cross multiply, 3 times 8, and then divide by the other number. 3 times 8 is 24, divided by 6 is 4. So that's exactly what we wanted. We predicted it was going to be 4. So the base of the rectangle was 4, the height was 3, so 4 times 3 is 12. Okay, we have a couple more problems on the next page. Okay, for the next two, we want to find the area of a triangle. So the formula for area of a triangle is area equals 1/2 times the base times the height. So if I want the area of this triangle on the right, I need to know the base right here. So I'm going to pick a number. So I'm going to pick 8. 8 is the left side, so over here the left side is 6. Go back to your first triangle, so that's 15. 15 corresponds to x. Cross multiply and divide, so 6 times 15, then divide by 8. 6 times 15 is 90, and 90 divided by 8 is 11.25. So then I now know this is 11.25, so I can find the area. So it's 1/2 times the base, which is 11.25, times the height, which is 6. I like to multiply first. So 11.25 times 6 is going to give me 67.5. And multiplying by 1/2 is the same as dividing by 2. So multiplying by 1/2 is the same as dividing by 2. So I can take 67.5 divided by 2 to get 33.75. So that is my area. Okay, last one. This one again looks kind of weird because it's two triangles in one. So we're going to first draw them separately. I have my smaller rectangle, which has a base of 6 and a height of 0.9. And then my bigger rectangle, which I don't know the height, but I know that the base is this whole thing. So here's 6, here's 12, that's a total of 18. Okay, so I need to find the height because I'm going to eventually find the area of the larger rectangle. So set up my portion, pick any number. I'm going to pick 6. 6 corresponds to 18 because they're both the bases. And then 0.9 over h, cross multiply, and divide. So 18 times 0.9 divide by the 6. 18 times 0.9 is 16.2. Divided by 6 gives me 2.7. So I know the height is 2.7. Also make sure that your answer makes sense. This smaller, or not smaller, the triangle on the bottom is obviously bigger than the triangle on the top. So my height obviously needs to be bigger than the smaller triangle's height, which it is. So now I'm going to find the area. So remember, area is 1/2 times the base times the height. So plug in the numbers. 1/2 times the base was 18. The height is 2.7. First I'm going to figure out what is 18 times 2.7, and that is 48.6. And again, remember, you can just take this number divided by 2 because that's the same thing as multiplying by 1/2. So 48.6 divided by 2 is going to give me 24.3 for my area. Okay, so I know those are a bit different than what we are used to. So if you have any questions, please email me.